I'm going to show you one of the easiest, quickest, most delicious breads that you've ever had in your life. This is Irish soda bread. Now, true Irish soda bread, when I was doing some research on it, didn't have the sugar in it and didn't have some of the extra ingredients. So it would have had baking soda only without the baking powder. It wouldn't have had the egg. Pretty much would have been the flour, the buttermilk, and the baking soda. But we've had a little updated version for this century, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do right now. Now in here, all I have are 3 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of whole wheat flour. And to that, I'm going to add the soda, baking soda, and it's 1 teaspoon. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And that seems backwards to me, but that's correct. I'm just going to let my mixer start stirring those together for me. We want everything nicely incorporated. 5 tablespoons of white sugar. That's also not the truly traditional version. It's my version. And a pinch of salt. That might be a half a teaspoon. You know, you always put a little bit of salt in baked goods. Salt makes everything taste more like itself. So you may not get salty out of it, but you'll definitely get better flavor. Okay. Now, at this point, see how fast this goes together? I have a stick of butter, and I am going to drop the butter in there. I'm going to turn it off so I don't end up wearing it. Wait a minute. I'm going to drop the butter in here, and then over here on my baking sheet, I'm going to take the paper, and that way I don't get my hand all goopy. I tend to make enough goopy messes on my own. I don't need extra. Now, you know, I just realized I saved myself from getting a buttery hand, and look what I'm about to do. This is kind of like a biscuit, and it's kind of like a pie dough. And actually, the texture that you're looking for is something like a scone or shortbread, more like a biscuit than a traditional bread. It's hard to describe. First loaf I made, it was really, really ugly, and nobody cared. We ate it standing at the kitchen counter right out of the oven. It was fabulous. All right, so that's all you're doing. You're rubbing the butter between your fingers just to get it nicely incorporated in the flour. That's about right. That's all you have to do. Okay, now at this point, 1 egg goes into 1 cup of buttermilk. Now, like a biscuit, you don't want to mess with the dough any more than you have to. The more you mess with it, the tougher the final product will be. You want it nice and tender and light. So we're only going to do this for just a minute. We're going to bring the rest of it together with our hands. There goes our egg. Now, it comes together very quickly. I don't want to mix it with the mixer long enough to bring it off the sides on its own. So I'm stopping it. I'm going to pull it off the sides. I'm going to let it go a minute more, and then I'm going to do the rest of it with my hands. Or maybe not that fast. Yeah, it makes it happen pretty quickly, doesn't it? Okay. Now, most of that has incorporated. Let me ditch my hook. Okay, so you really don't want to truly knead the dough. And a lot of the instructions I read said to turn it out onto a floured surface and knead the dough. And honestly, I think what you're going to have at that point is you're going to overwork the dough. And you're also going to incorporate more flour than you need to. And this is actually a really fabulous proportion, so you don't want to do that. You want to leave it just like it is. All right, now, you see how it's starting to come together and sticking together on its own? We're going to transfer this in just a second. I'm going to grab as much as I can. I'm taking it to my baking sheet, and that's where I'm going to finish it off. Wait a minute. I'm still catching dough. There we go. Now you're going to have some little leftover floury bits in the bottom of your bowl. Don't worry about it. You don't need them. Think about it as somebody who didn't want to come out and play, so they missed the boat. Okay, at this point, see, look, you've got a giant biscuit, and that's just about right. Okay, now, this right here is a 1/4 cup of melted butter and a 1/4 cup of buttermilk. And you're just going to pat the outside of it. You don't want to brush it because you don't want to go knocking your bits off. But this will help brown it and give it a beautiful crust in the oven. You want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees, by the way, and make sure it's nice and hot. The butter in here is going to act just the same way it does with a biscuit or pie crust. It's going to hit the hot oven. It's going to release steam, and that's going to help it to rise. Another thing is when the soda and the buttermilk get together, releases gases, and in the hot oven, those also help give a rise. Okay, so nice little coat. Now save this because you're going to use it again. Now, the Irish soda bread traditionally had a nice big fat X cut across the top. It served several purposes, and the first one was very practical. It helps allow the bread to expand. Pat you down. When it hits the hot oven, and then it rises pretty quickly. There you go. But it also served as a reminder of the cross of Christ. And since this was the daily bread for most of the Irish people, it also served as a blessing. Alright, so I'm just going to pop this in the hot oven, and I'll probably show you what it looks like partway through the baking time when we baste it the first time. Okay, the soda bread has been in for about 45-50 minutes. I've done 3 different bastes on it when I put a little more of the butter and buttermilk on it. This is what we have. And it smells, out of this world. Divine. And it's hot. Okay. See that? That's beautiful. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. Okay, we're going to bring it over here. We're going to let it cool. Give it about 20 minutes to cool off enough so that I can handle it and touch it. And I'm going to slice it and show you what it looks like on the inside. It's where the good stuff is. Now see, I got a little distracted. But we're about 10 minutes. Can you see it? Oh, nope, we're getting too much glare on the light. Almost. See how it's blooming open at the X's? And it's getting toasty brown. It's got about another 15 minutes to go. But we're almost there. Okay, soda bread has come down to temperature where I can handle it. Let me show you how this works. You know how we made a little X in the top? And it allowed it to expand, and it also represented a traditional Irish Catholic blessing. Here's what else it does. It gives you a perfect place to break your bread. See that? And this is the texture that you're looking for. Isn't that beautiful? Now, it should be somewhere between a biscuit and a loaf of bread and a shortcake. Yeah, and it is. I've got some strawberries in there that I think need to meet some cream and come to the cake. Irish soda bread. You need to try this.